1986, the shuttle Challenger exploded about 74 seconds after takeoff, killing all 7 astronauts inside. Or did it? It turns out that 6 of the 7 are still alive and kicking today. Ellison Onizuka claims to be his identical twin brother Claude. Yeah, I've got an identical twin brother Claude too. The Challenger pilot, Mickey Smith, hasn't even bothered changing his name. He's now Professor Michael J. Smith of University of Wisconsin. Now, Krista McAuliffe was a bit of a sneaky one. She was the Challenger payload specialist, quite famous for being a teacher. It turns out during her astronaut days she was using her middle name, Krista, and now she goes by her first name, Sharon, and she's a Syracuse law professor. The Challenger commander, Francis Richard Scobie, is now Dick Scobie, which sounds like a rather unpleasant disease, CEO of Cows in Trees Limited. Judith Resnick, the Challenger mission specialist, again hasn't even bothered changing her name. She's a professor at Yale Law. And finally, Ronald McNair, another Challenger mission specialist, claims to be his identical twin brother, Carl McNair. What are the odds?
Part of the team, even though she was not a trained astronaut.
She knows where we're going to be standing, how busy it's going to be, where she can help, where we need our space. And she has learned an awful lot and become a team
weird
member.
Lady with scale and swords and blindfolds, or Grecian goddess, or warrior princess, or whatever it is. What makes it legible? And so one of the questions in the book is to puzzle about both its history and the legibility of this, which is a marker, and of course this local county court.
Welcome to Feed Your Mind. So with this evidence of the space shuttle that blew up, the Challenger space shuttle from 1986, well, you just saw live footage of it blowing up and the astronauts dying. And I even have statements from NASA on how the crew died. If you go to NASA's website, nasa.com, or nasa.gov, you will be able to look up an article called Remembering the Challenger Crew. And it was last updated just in 2015, actually. And so they'll provide you the evidence that the crew died. And it says that the NASA family lost 7 of its own on the morning of January 28th, 1986, when a booster engine failed, causing the shuttle Challenger to break apart just 73 seconds after launch. And then it goes on to name off the members who died, the members of the space shuttle who died. And you can see their faces, each of their faces and their names. And then you match that up with the faces and names that they've found, that people have found recently. And I don't know how recently, but they've discovered the whole, like pretty much the whole crew. So now we have NASA confirmation that the crew has died, and yet we have the evidence that the crew is still alive. So you might ask yourself, what was actually going on there? And it's quite obvious that nobody rides on space shuttles, on those rockets that von Braun, the Nazi scientist, created to make believable rockets that were, big enough to fool the public that these machines were taking people into outer space. But it turns out nobody dare wants to ride on one of those rockets. Those are unmanned rockets and unmanned space shuttles. Nobody is flying into outer space. It's just a show. So all those times when people were watching these rocket launches on TV, this one didn't go as planned, which is probably part of the reason why they decided to cancel out the space shuttle missions. And you know, when I remember when they canceled out the space shuttle missions, it was always like, I was thinking like, why? You know, why would they just quit going to outer space? I was thinking in the back of my head, you know, just thinking, and then you don't think much of it. You know, it's before this flat Earth stuff. You know, there'd be all types of stuff that just seemed questionable about NASA. You know, it's kind of like you think about it and then you forget about it just as quick as you thought about it, because it's like, well, you don't think much of it.